You are watching Access LaPorte County Channel 97. Coming up next is the October 15th meeting of the Trail Creek Town Council. You can find more information for this meeting at www.accesslaportecounty.org.
If I could have everybody join us in some. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome everyone to the October meeting. We'll start off with approval of the minutes. Council, has everyone had a chance to review the minutes from last month?
Yes.
Any changes or corrections?
We had a severe storm.
Oh, we did.
We did. Was that in the?
Correspondence.
Oh, okay.
It's all right.
Okay, thank you.
So we've got no corrections. Thank you.
Well, at least I spelled it right. It is the correct spelling for something.
The only other correction I had was under street department should be SLB.
I kind of like the SOB.
Oh, you know what? I saw that.
I saw it and I
Our
thought,
forms say that, I'm sorry.
SOB?
It could be 6 more branches, but you know.
It's supposed to be SL.
It is our forms that we,
Yeah.
they always fill out for that.
Wow.
I know that's what the street department refers to them as.
And other than those minor changes, does anyone else have anything in addition?
Other than those changes, I move to accept the minutes as presented for September 17th, 2024.
Second.
Any others? Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And moving on to the fund report. Looks like we're going to have to make a little adjustment to the public safety.
So what will happen with that is it comes at the end of the month, so it just hasn't registered.
Okay.
So, but maybe it's a small amount.
Yeah, we've been playing catch up with that for a couple months.
We have.
For the overtime.
The refuse and trash pickup looks really healthy. Okay. Any comments, questions, or discussion? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve the fund report?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any other comments, or questions, or discussion from council? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hearing none opposed, motion carries. Moving on to payment of the bills.
And big bill. Fire department.
Yes, it is. So, wow.
Yes.
And I paid all of it. I paid all of it.
See, well, we paid Dan for the remainder of
We did not.
the wall. Okay, got it, all right. I was looking for that.
On the
On the agenda, right? Okay. I move to accept the payment of the bills for September 2024.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Any correspondence this evening? Moving on to reports. I know we're waiting to hear back from Shem for MS4, correct? We're doing some ordinances, so we'll move on from that. Mr. Willoughby, your report this evening.
That was my thunder.
Okay. Well, that was a nice quick report. Nice to see you this evening.
Just asking, houses on Harding, anything new, different?
I have not heard anything. I don't check them. Is there anything? I thought there was construction going on one improvement at one. I haven't heard on the other that has the property
The
split.
original one, yeah,
I can,
was split. It was one. Cause
has
the,
there been any improvement on, is that status quo? I don't.
yeah, the one, the first one that split, yeah, that's the same, the backyard, something happened to a tree back there. And somebody made an attempt to clean some up in it, but there's a lot of, looks bad back there.
I have not.
I know nothing going on now on the other house. Yeah, there's,
That one improved.
looks like a new roof and maybe a new door. And
Because that one sold on tax sale.
is that what's going on?
So that one
So
has been
it's,
improved.
the inside's still the same, but it's not leaking and sealed.
I will follow up with the attorney who was doing the quiet title action, but I know they had some tax issues as well, and then we're back to the same.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you. Moving on to our town engineer.
Good evening.
Good evening.
The only thing I have besides what's under old business is a drainage concern at 2520 Risky.
Yes.
I met with her out there. She showed me where she had her concerns. I also talked to Dave and Pete about historical stuff and see if anybody knew of things happening out there all the time. There isn't. It looked to me like everything was functioning just the way you wanted to. She, at the last meeting, referenced a river of water running in front of her house. Well, the water's got to flow to get to the drains, and that's what it was doing. So the puddles that she was concerned about are at every driveway because we don't have a ditch and culvert system. But we don't need one because by her own admission, the puddles only last half an hour to 2 hours at the most. So I don't think there's anything for the town to do there at that location.
Thank you for looking at that.
No problem.
Thank you. Anything else that you have for this evening?
Nothing else from me.
Okay. Moving on to our park department then.
So Amanda's not here. If there was any notes taken at the last meeting, I am unaware, but we went to Cogden and Nelson, along with Warren, and because Katrina Vito is applying for a 5-year park plan with the state, and we had to list what was missing from making it ADA compliant. And Warren came up with some documents that are to be included. And Jenny put a thing on Facebook that was our last requirement, was a survey.
Is the survey?
Yes, that was the and so that gets us in time for the November deadline for the preliminaries application, and then there will be a final application in April. So,
When do you want that survey to be taken down?
I'll contact
Information.
Katrina,
Okay.
because I don't know how long she needs. Do you have the responses somewhere?
Those should be going back to my town email or to my town account.
Okay,
So we should be able to pull all of the responses right back from there.
okay. I'll ask her how long. I think it was either November 4th or November 14th. Warren, do you remember when it had to be submitted? Was it November 4th or 14th?
14.
14th. So I would think by November 1st it should be done.
Okay. And then somebody had taken that link and reposted, I think it may have been Katrina, to the Nextdoor app as well.
I saw
Okay.
that.
So it's been shared not only on the Facebook page, but also through the Nextdoor app for people
Okay, that's
to
good.
be able to access that information.
That's good, okay. But I'll ask her when she wants it taken down, if she wants it any earlier than that. Okay.
Great. Anything else?
No, I think that's it. Well, Crystal, did you get the meeting notes I sent you?
Yeah, we're still
Sure.
missing like a lot of the months.
Oh, yeah, I know, but I forwarded on, I'm just the liaison.
Yep.
I forwarded it on to them and I said, these are the months missing that I don't have. So, and I don't think they have meetings in all months, and I will document that too for you, okay? And that's all, Jen.
Thank you. I don't see our building inspector this evening, but I know he did have some concerns about one of the invoices we're going to talk about later, so we'll address that in new business this evening. Anything for planning and zoning? Okay. And that brings up our police department this evening.
I'm going to defer my time.
I do see the pink patches are on for the month of October.
Month of October, we do that.
All right, thank you. And that brings our street department up this evening.
Not much here either.
Good evening.
Equipment status stuff, supposedly got my email this morning, or so, yeah, I guess it was this morning. Couple issues with one of the trucks, which is going through NDOT inspections right now. And all that, and it's truck 34. It's the same thing that occurred with 35, brake lines last year, the corrosion, and all that kind of stuff like that. So I anticipated that for this year. But I think someone was talking about that at the beginning last year when that occurred. So basically that stuff's getting repaired. I do not have a good guesstimate yet, but looking back, it's a few $1,000s on the other truck. So, but I've spoken to the clerk there, and I'm not sure we're going to get it ready. So I think we're in good shape. 35 hasn't gone in yet. I'm waiting to keep one of the others you're familiar with, I'm sure. But I don't anticipate any issues there. So look through what I know of right there, and like I said, it's been repaired last week. Short of that, I think the rest of anything else, leaf collection and stuff like that will be addressed here shortly. Okay, that's all I have.
Okay.
Question. And Dave and I had talked a couple weeks ago or so, right after the storm that we had. And I know this, the blade topic was brought up earlier this year. And I just want to make sure everybody understands that when there's a storm, I believe, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, if there's a storm, we clean up the town, we'll clean up people's branches and stuff related to the storm.
Correct.
I don't know if there's a time frame to that point, because I think when I saw Dave, I think this was like 4 or 6 weeks after the storm, and it's like, and I'm kind of watching my neighborhood, and I was like, oh, where'd those come from? Because it wasn't there before, and all of a sudden now they're starting to bring out, just, the public's just bringing out their own
Every day.
trees and branches and shrubs and stuff. I'm just asking I don't know if that's in our ordinance for him to do that. Dave is just doing it out of consideration, but you know, if he doesn't do it, then it's gonna look like trash, but, okay. So what should we do with that? You know, should we charge him? Should we increase
That's
taxes? Should we?
announced, I think, to you, Jenny.
We've talked about that, I don't think we've ever made a decision on that.
We've
We've had several discussions, but we've never really made a firm decision on that.
Okay,
So typically, he just calls and says, they're done.
Yeah.
And then when people call and say they have 6 limbs and branches, we tell them try to fit whatever they can in their yard.
Yeah.
So break them up, put them in there.
all right.
So we kinda try to coordinate with them,
Mhm.
and then if we see something or people report of a house doing it, we make a list for them to go out and take a look.
Yeah, but do we,
We've still not made that determination whether we want to have an extra fee for those things, because it does cost our town sometimes a lot of money to do those things and make those
it's not a
runs
lot.
over to,
Yeah, I'm starting to put something together for you on that very topic between, we kind of did it last year, but this year it's not pretty much mirrored out.
Oh, there's people taking advantage of the whole
The
thing.
time,
Right.
the manpower, the guys. I've issued quite a few of the notices similar to what I think you came up with, the red one. We haven't put them on anything other than paper at the moment. I have that if you guys want to look at that for any reason. I'd love to put that out on our Facebook or wherever else it goes on social media, but something like that. But I've issued a lot of those. I've only had feedback on 1 or 2, besides a few choice names, which my whole career I've kind of used to that. But I explained to them it's for information. This is the options that you have here and everything. That's the storm damage is one thing. You know, right now, just speaking of that, I'm gonna go out and take a look at, I don't want to call any particular place out, but one of the churches on our south side here off Cool Spring, they're doing a lot of pruning, I found today.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it is, because it's all fresh cuts all the way through there, and it's massive. And it'll take us a few days to clean that, and I'm gonna tell you now, probably, as it sits right now, probably 5 trips back and forth to the dump. That's a lot of money.
Are they having a contractor do that work, or are they doing it themselves?
It looks like they have probably some of the folks there at the church doing it. I don't know. It doesn't, I mean, they're not way up there. They're up there, but they're not the massive things, kind of like we did here today, as far as the big
Right.
branches. Mess, huge mess. Just take a ride down there tomorrow morning and see.
Do we have an ordinance on that?
Yeah, 38-1, Articles 1 and our Article 2 here.
What's it say?
You have, well, to give you the definition of rubbish, trash, litter, would be meaning dirt, chips, pieces of lumber, sticks, wood, trees, leaves or branches thereof, grass, other clippings, and then some of your litter stuff and all that. These are all included in that. And as far as, that's the responsibility of the property owner. And then there, as far as your commercial stuff or anything, or I suppose churches would fall into that, I don't know. But that's a whole other thing that you have further down in that ordinance. So.
But it doesn't say anything about,
There's no fees. Fees could be imposed, but there's nothing set in there. And then at the very end, it's at the will of you guys. If you want us doing it or it
pretty
being,
non-specific.
yeah, so.
so we need to fix it somehow.
We do.
And I have an amendment proposed or wording thereof that the town attorney would have to go through for legal verbiage. But that was submitted last, I think, January, February, something like that, when we first started talking about that, this last year. Probably this time last year.
Would you agree though, it seems like, I'll just say since the storm, it just seems like people have
It's
taken advantage of the
but
system.
yes. Right now, we had everything clean last week, and we're gonna be restarting it. On that topic, trying to trim our budget or trim our hours, if you will, a little bit. Dealing with the leaf pickup stuff that we're getting ready to do and all the rest of it, or deal with here in a minute. Yeah, it kind of makes it really hard for me to do that, because that's a lot of our time is spent. More time spent on that than what it really needs to be. So my opinion. Look at some outside towns, they don't do that, they don't pick it up. Long Beach is one example. That's your responsibility, your property. Michigan City, I haven't talked to Sean yet, the superintendent over there for the street department. it's been on the radio for the last few weeks, and I've noticed it since I live in the city, is they're changing their flow, the pattern on what they're doing, how often they're doing it, and then any of this other stuff, they're going to start charging for. So I don't have all the exact details on that, but it's definitely a change going on there too, so might be something, time to consider.
Huh.
Yep.
Huh.
So,
Definitely time for some more discussion on those things.
yeah, it's a lot of time spent, a lot of fuel, a lot of,
A lot of trips back and forth. Yeah.
Yeah, so what do we wanna do?
I think that's another discussion.
Well, yeah,
So
Agreed.
what do you have in mind?
well, because Dave brought up earlier the year, and then we kinda, it was quiet, so didn't do anything.
Right. So I think this last storm was an unusual case
Wow.
because we had an equipment failure as well,
Yeah, yeah,
which delayed the process substantially,
yes.
right? How many weeks?
Primary on what we use for that, you have to grab it.
How many weeks would you say that we were down just because of that one?
2 solid weeks, because it went down
And
usual, right as everything when needed. And then to get the personnel in, actually somebody from Illinois, from
Right.
Bobcat, to come in all the way over here to get to see what's going on and say, oh yeah, well, we need to order those parts out. As soon as we find them, we'll let you know. Well, that took another week before that came in and they got out here to.
And during that 2 weeks, do you think there were additional sticks, limbs, and branches that were put
I
out?
think there was a lot of cleaning going on right there, because there was a lot that was down there. We tried keeping up with the chipper, we got it fired up, did what we could with that.
Mhm.
Put a good dent in the bigger stuff, the smaller things you can't feed in that machine, 'cause it's just
Right.
gonna get spun in there.
Just get stuck.
Spend more time cleaning it out than I am anything else, so.
you almost say that if everything was working, that 2 weeks after a storm, that should
Yeah,
be
no doubt,
enough
that would
be the
to
idea.
give everybody a time to,
Because the following week, once that machine was back up, some of us had some other illnesses and different things like that going on. I was on the call right in there, 1, 2, 3, and we were back on it. And that, Edgemore was one big one, huge
Yeah.
mess up there, and we started hitting that, working through there, and we kind of had a route or pre-planned route for the massive stuff like that.
Mhm.
Got through it in that week, and then we're back on par. We're good. So. And I'm talking the whole town, not just Edgemore.
Right, I don't know that
That's
we
where we
can,
start.
I think that has to be a case-by-case basis with the storms, depending on how big the storm would be, with how long of a time frame we would allow.
Mhm.
I don't know that we can say, every storm, 2 weeks.
Yeah, but a lot of what we're getting is the shrubs and the bushes and the landscaping they're gonna do and all the rest of it. And I would think that would start coming to an end about now, but right now it's status
So-
quo there.
Maybe that's something that we can all put some thought into and come back the next month with ideas.
Okay,
You think that's fair?
no, yeah, that's fine, as long as, maybe put, a time
Let's put
frame
it on
on
the
it.
agenda for next month
Yep.
again.
I could send you what I created.
And then if you could send that out to everybody?
For everybody to take a look at and then fine tune them as you will. That's what's cool.
I do think there's some penalty provisions that are applicable now. They're generic in terms of if you're gonna do it, you could certainly tidy it up a bit and put some graduated, because it provides for fines not to exceed 2,500, which obviously that'd be excessive in most circumstances. But the provision is general. It discusses and addresses that if there's something that is prohibited by the code, and it continues, that you can have, seek conjunctive relief. It's a public nuisance, can be fined, so, maybe writing them a violation, putting that notice out. But I think right now, until you find out what you want to do in general, if it becomes a prevalent problem, we could address that in the short run.
Sound like a plan?
And that's, real quick, we were just talking about the tree out here.
Yes.
So probably something to look at, because where that rotted, everything's branched out there. I mean, it's had quite a bit this way, right here, so that's kind of concerning, the way that split or rotted down through there. So it might be, I don't know, I could call somebody, tree companies to get an idea of what they think, but. So.
Do we have the money for them in the budget right now? I think we could probably find it from
We
somewhere.
probably could,
I think that's probably a good idea before that tree comes down.
yes, on our building.
Right.
Yeah.
Which tree is it?
This is
It's a
one right
maple
here.
right here.
Yeah, that is.
Must be about
Yeah, but that's the thing that kind
three or
of.
four grand.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think I have
It's not gonna be a,
that. I'll send it out to you.
Leave the stump.
yeah.
Section mall.
So we would need someone to make the motion for, to give Dave permission to, have someone come out and,
Now, I make a motion, to have Dave, look up, now if you have to look for a arborist, or if you just look for
I think we have a tree company that we
Tree
typically
company.
use, correct?
that comes in.
Usually
Denny's,
Denny's,
John's, yeah.
Denny's and John's come in and do
Those
bids.
are the two that come to mind right off the bat.
To get an estimate.
In fact, I think Denny's did Johnson Road a few different places for the town. A year
So-
ago, a couple years ago.
We need a second.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Very well, thank you.
thank you. Moving on to NERC this evening.
Just that we had a meeting, on the 19th of September, and the speaker at the time, they have different topics. I don't know if you guys are familiar with what happens with Mercy, but this time they had the State Board of Accounts, Paul Joyce, Beth Kelly, Tammy White, and Jennifer Ganger, who was the president, and just went through their procedures to make all of us aware. If we had any questions at the time, which I had brought back for Crystal to look at, so other than that, that was it.
Sounds like an interesting meeting.
It was a good meeting.
Okay. And moving on then to old business. We had the leaf contract extension,
No, refuse
a
contract.
refuse contract extension, like, just forgive me, looking to see if we had anything further from Eric Ivory. Pete and I were able to meet with Eric Ivory from Borden, who's our representative there. And he did come up with some verbal suggestions, although we've not seen anything in writing yet. So hopefully for our November meeting, we will be able to have something to present to the council,
And vote on.
so that we can vote on that. Although we do have a pretty solid idea of what that would be, we didn't have anything in writing to present to you yet. So hopefully we'll have something there. He had an idea for a 5-year extension with different increments that would increase year by year. So it sounds promising, but until we have something in writing, I don't think we should propose anything verbal on that.
Okay.
Moving on to leaf pickup. And Dave, I don't know if you want to take the lead on this one, but hopefully we have something in our packet.
I haven't seen anything in my email.
That's what you need.
Thought about that.
My email and go back.
The way that you left it was deciding between hiring part-time, right, or,
Right,
or
and that fell apart.
hiring contractor, so that's not the option. So then that's just to consider whether you're going to
Go with the
accept
contractor.
the proposal, the
Yes.
quote that you received, subject to entering into a written agreement.
So the proposal that we had was was from H&S Services. And I believe that we had a copy at one time of this that we all have looked at, where the town would, you want me to reread this out loud? Does everyone remember what the proposal was?
I still have it written.
Yeah,
Okay.
Just say I sent it out to. So,
I was looking to see if I still had it. I don't have it written down. Oh yeah, I do. Here it is.
Okay. So instead of having our town do the leaf pickup, as we have in prior years, the consideration on the table is going with the contractor instead, with the proposal as previously presented.
For fall only.
And this would be for this fall only, yes. Mhm.
It's for $30,000, we use our equipment, his truck from November 4th through December 6th.
Yes.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Days. Be using our equipment,
Our equipment, our leaf machine,
And his personnel.
right. And we would provide on-road diesel for our machine.
They handle their fuel, make sure our own diesel that we have. is,
And our
for
leaf.
stuff.
Our dump site. So we would still pay for the dump site as well, correct?
So my question would be just to make sure
That we have cash,
that we have funds.
yes. That was gonna be my next, that's why I'm looking over at Crystal.
I think we figured out we'd be really close as long as Dave was able to cut back on some of the hours, which they will since they won't be doing leaf machine. I think we'll be okay. I think we did the math at last meeting and it looked like it would be all right. I don't have an appropriation report on me, but I'll let you put it up.
So that sounds like it's hinged on
As long as we're not.
Dave's hours.
Yeah.
Is that right? Did I catch that?
On Dave and his staff, yeah. We would have to reduce their hours slightly during that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we know what that is yet?
We'd already started reducing, yeah. Like I said, the big thing, the big driver right now is gonna be, some of these.
Just,
Yeah.
just storm cleanup and,
Storm, yeah.
As long as, that's all, as long as you have a
Yeah,
plan.
very much so. It's already started a week or two ago and more or less I'm at a point of, as projects present themselves, I'll get with the others and hey, we got this or this, who can be in on this day or that day,
Yeah.
whatever. Just kind of put the team together on those days. I'm in and I do my part, but I do daily generally. And go from there. Think about that.
That's fine.
It's
Just make sure
made
we
a
have a plan.
huge difference already this pay period as of tomorrow's pay period.
and they know that they'll pick back up again during the winter time when they have to plow, that there'll be, you know,
It's all clear on that and yeah, I think we're in a pretty good spot right now.
okay,
No problem.
okay. So then the motion on the table is to, accept the proposal as presented for leaf pickup.
I'll make a motion to.
I'll second it.
Proposal.
Okay,
Subject to reducing that to a formal contract and authorizing the president to sign.
thank you. Any further discussion or questions? No? All right, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Hearing none opposed, motion carries. So then we'll announce that then formally, as soon as we have the contract for signature, we can get that announced publicly. Put up on social media and on our Facebook, I'm sorry, on our website, so we can get that word disseminated to our. Mhm. So we're gonna have to sign the
Oh,
contract.
okay, signature.
Yeah,
Sorry, I thought you meant.
no, we have to sign the contract. Yeah.
Got it.
Usually I'm not.
Sorry.
So we'll have to sign the contract and get that back to you, so we can get that done as soon as possible. Okay, so that's taken care of. Moving on to the pavement asset management plan. And that is from Haas and Associates that everyone should have a copy of inside of their packet from this evening. This was put together by Sam Ozev from Haas and Associates. So everyone can take a look at that. I'm sorry that Sam's not here to talk to us a little bit more about this evening. Ken, do you know anything about this?
Not a whole
The
lot.
LTAP?
I know that we're entering a time crunch, because all of this has to be done and submitted before December 1st. So that
Right.
leaves us half of October and all of November, and that's all. So
You think the rates are pretty standard and pretty similar because they've been all the way through? And And this really just allows Sam to continue to coordinate the program for us, as he has in prior years. So I don't think it's anything really any different than what he's presented before.
No, it's pretty much the same as 2 years ago.
So really what this is just us approving his proposal, saying that we want him to continue to coordinate the program for us and to continue with his work.
I move to accept the proposal of the 2024 pavement asset management plan presented by Haas and Associates.
And a second.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any further discussion or questions?
Just because I'm
Because
new to this, this is essentially a test evaluation of, and these guys go out and select roads.
So this is so that we can apply for the community crossings matching grant.
Yeah,
And so they can create the plan of our roads that need improvements.
and we've done this before.
We've done this before. We've done this for several years now,
Okay.
yes. So we did this with John Doyle, and then when Tyson Associates took over, they started managing the road.
They highlight the worst roads and then we determine where we have money to actually
And we go
fix.
from there.
Okay.
Yeah, Dave's already submitted a list at the September meeting, so we have a list of where we can start.
Okay.
Right, and the nice thing that we did this year was, really not the nice thing, but the smart thing that we did this year was we were going to encumber the funds from this year, so we can work on more road and street projects in 2025, or larger projects, so that we can actually make a bigger dent next year than what we hoped to this year, so.
Okay.
So, we have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to old business then. We have the Police Forfeiture Fund Ordinance Number 3-2024, which we read last month. The first reading. Everyone should have a copy of that this month again. This one is, again, ordinance 3-2024, whereas from time to time, the town, through investigative efforts of the town's marshals, will receive seized property for the court order under IC 34-24-1-4, and whereas the town council wishes to receive the seized property, most often in the form of money, in a separate non-reverting fund for the specific purpose of future law enforcement investigations and prosecutions therefrom. And whereas the council is establishing this fund without expiration date, but if the purpose of the fund terminates for any remaining balance, any remaining balance shall be transferred to the general fund of the town for further law enforcement operational expenses, and duly adopted by the town council of Trail Creek, Fort County, Indiana, this 15th day of October 2024, if approved by the council this evening. Do we have a motion to?
I move to approve, or to approve ordinance 3-2024.
Thank you. And a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to the 2025 budget. And Crystal, I'll let you move this one.
Okay. Do you want me to just read that?
I don't think you need to read through.
Each number, I think I just need to read.
I think we just need the funds. Actually, if it'll help you, I'll read through the funds and then their amounts tonight. So for this would be ordinance 4-2024 for the appropriations and taxes for our budget for 2025. The Casino Riverboat Fund, the adopted amount for our budget would be $80,000. The levy amount of $0. For the general fund, the adopted budget is $773,855, with the adopted levy amount of $545,000. Local road and streets would have an adopted budget of $50,000, with the adopted levy of $0. For motor vehicle and highway would be $248,000 $1,942. The adopted tax levy of $148,000. Major moves or toll road counties would be $29,305 with a $0 adopted tax levy. Continuing education would be $4,000 with an adopted tax levy of 0. Our cumulative capital tax or cigarette tax would be $25,000 with $0 levy. Our CCD or cumulative capital development would be $35,000 for the adopted budget, an adopted tax levy of $41,574. Our economic development income tax or CEDIT would be $100,000 with an adopted tax levy of 0. Our trash and sanitation or operating would be $240,456 with an adopted tax levy of 0, for a total adopted budget of $1,586,558 with a total adopted tax levy of $734,574. For the home rule funds not reviewed by the DLGF, we have the American Rescue Act at $291,677. The lit public safety funds at $117,678 for a total of $409,355. And so that would be our total budget for 2025.
So when you guys go to sign that, you have to actually say yay, nay. When you
See what name I do the roll call?
you don't have to do that now, but by the end when you turn it in, it just has to be yay, nay.
Right, when you're signing.
Yeah.
So we need a motion to accept it.
So we do need a motion to accept.
I move to accept ordinance resolution number 4-2024 for our budget.
Second.
Second. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Yep, motion carries. Okay, the next item on the agenda is Dan's Landscaping and the Dan Mechanical invoices.
We have the salary ordinance for this meeting.
Oh, salary ordinance. Sorry, I'm so excited about the budget getting passed, I completely skipped over the salary ordinance.
Well, let's kill two birds with one stone.
All right. So the salary ordinance, everyone has a copy of this inside of your packet as well.
So it's a little different this year, as you can see, for the past salary ordinance. It's a lot more detailed.
That it is.
On the second page, it also shows the longevity. And then it will also state about the overtime, the sick leave, per the handbook. And then on page 3, I wasn't sure if we could still call that the appendix A to the ordinance. Can we keep that the same number? I believe we can. As the same 5-2024 ordinance. So this
What
is
is the-
specific,
What is the exhibit? I'm sorry, I haven't seen it.
it's appendix A for the ordinance. It shows all the pay dates.
If one of you would hand to them.
The payroll issued for the marshal, and the first line is wrong.
Well, so
The pay,
what you're looking at is, these are gonna be every 2-week paychecks.
Yeah, but 1/1/24 is prior to 12/31/24.
So this is this is,
That should be 25.
no, because we're gonna start this payroll starting 12/16. It's gonna show you the day's work and then the payroll, which is the first. The
Of
way
the
that
next
it
year.
shows
So
where the
you're-
payroll's due.
But your payroll issued date should be
Yeah.
1/1/25.
Right.
25.
Oh, I see, okay. I see what you're saying, sure.
I see what you did. I understand. We're starting in December of 24,
Yeah.
and the payroll issue date should have been 1/1/25.
Yes, okay. But I can correct that.
Yeah, you can, with those changes, you can leave that as it is and pass it on first reading and have it updated
Okay.
for as long as consideration.
Thank you for noticing that, Laura.
Well, then give you, everybody the ability to review it, and you can make the changes or suggest them prior to the next one.
So do we need to read through this whole thing right now, or?
You can do it by title only on first reading, so that just gets you over the hump.
So ordinance 5-2024, this is an ordinance establishing salaries for the elected officials, appointed individuals, and the employees for the town of Trail Creek for the calendar year of 2025. We need a motion to approve this ordinance, the salary ordinance.
I move to approve the salary ordinance 5-2024 with the exception of the amendment that needs to be made to the payroll issue date for the town marshal
On first reading.
on first reading.
Second.
Any further discussion or questions, comments from council? Hearing none. All in favor? say Aye. Aye.
Who seconded that?
It was Pete and
Chris.
Chris.
Thank you.
Hearing none opposed, motion carries. Consent agenda here. Now we will move on to the GAN's landscaping and GAN mechanical invoices,
Do you want me to explain which?
if you would,
Okay, thank you.
please.
Okay, so the first one in the packet, this is what the estimate was for him. So on the second page, you'll see what Dan's estimate was prior to starting the job. The second one is the 70% that he requested, that was paid on 8/13. The next one that came in, this was after the job was done. So we received this in the mail. And then today, the next one was something I received that I wasn't expecting. So I wanted you guys to all take a look at this. And I wasn't aware that any of this was approved. So I didn't know how to handle these bills, so. And the last one would be from GAN's. That goes into the same issue that was,
So backing up the 29, 28, and Dan, that's the balance.
yes, that was the balance of the 70%.
Gotcha.
So that,
So I see what happened, is so his initial was 79.62, and out of that you paid the 68.33. But then on top of that, what he did was he added the sod and the topsoil, which brought it to the 29.28.65 that we owed additional, because the 6833 and the 2928 don't equal 7962. Yeah, it's like $9,000.
Well, yeah, on the second page of his, it does come to the 9,760.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So that's kind of where, I know it still doesn't add up as well, but it's close. But the 15, I don't know what to do with that.
In my personal opinion, the 15, we need further discussion on that, get a little more information on what's going on.
So this is just my opinion. I'm gonna voice my opinion here. I don't think that we should be on the hook for the 15,386. That was due to him. Sure, yeah, he put in or he contacted 811, had the area located what they would locate, but they obviously didn't locate the area where he was actually going to dig. Now, personally, if nothing is located in the area where I'm going to dig, I'm not going to dig. I'm going to hire a personal contractor or someone who can actually go out there and actually locate the services. Or if you can't get them located, you pothole around and you figure out where stuff is at. You don't just go in there with an excavator and start digging. I think this should be something that he needs to discuss with his insurance provider, because I think this was due to his negligence in actually getting the stuff located or not taking the appropriate actions not to cut what he cut when he was out there doing the work. That's just my opinion.
No, it's like, to me, yeah, I agree, it's like contractor 101. If you're that kind of contractor that does that kind of work, you're gonna make sure you do all the prep work before you start digging. So I think it's gonna be, well, it's probably gonna be a lot of fuzzy things, but the one thing is somewhere in there, he did that extra work, a little extra work, I don't know how much extra work it was, but.
To separate the gas lines.
Yeah.
And that is something that we talked about, and then, yeah, right, and this is right, this is the GAN, that's the GAN mechanical one.
And we did get a hold of him today, and by the end of today, they didn't say our business hours, it could have been at his. They were gonna message Julie with a more detailed report, so we will have that by tomorrow. I don't know how you guys wanna handle that either, with insurance and.
Well, so the GAN, that was something we kind of did over and, I wouldn't say we approved it, but that's something we did all talk about.
Right.
And say that, yeah, that probably needs to happen for the future of the,
Steve, he was part of that,
right.
not that Steve, the other Steve.
Oh, got it, right.
Thomas.
Steve Thomas, right.
Steve Thomas was part of it, he approved it.
So the shut off, the additional shut off, yes.
That needed to happen.
Yeah,
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree.
yeah.
So the GAN invoice I don't take issue with. It's the $15,000 additional from Dan's.
Yep.
That's the one that we definitely need to have discussion.
Mm-hmm. Agree. I wouldn't pay for it. I
No.
need further.
Okay, so you're saying pay the remainder invoice,
Oh, Dan's,
yes,
the 2928.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
and then also pay GAN.
So hang on, let's do this one at a
Right.
time.
Well, I mean, can we lump?
Do we need
The
a
motion on the table is to pay the $29,2865, so the $2,928.65
Which is the remainder of what Dan
is the remainder of the initial balance.
for the wall and the
For the
landscaping.
wall and the landscaping to Dan's landscaping. So do we have that motion to pay?
Yes, I make that motion.
Okay. Okay.
You all in favor?
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. So then the next motion would be to table the invoice for invoice number 202435681 for the amount of $15,386.08 to Dan's Landscaping.
And I just want to add to that, that's only because none of us authorized that work.
Correct. So we'd like to table that for further discussion. Okay,
Do you need a
so
motion
we
for
got
that?
that, no, we're just gonna table that for further discussion. Moving on to GAN Mechanical.
I made a motion to pay that fund, the whole
The full amount, so that would be invoice number 2038 to GAN Mechanical for the amount of $5,020.56. Warren made the motion, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion?
The only thing I would add to that is only because obviously these things came up as a result of what happened. And we weren't aware of what was going on prior to that being uncovered. This is something that needed to happen for the future of the town hall, police department, and street department facility.
Okay. Fair enough. Any other further discussion or comments? Okay, so we have a motion on the table and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. So get those things taken care of. Next, we have a refuse bill adjustment request for the address located at 2015 East Cool Spring Avenue.
Okay, so, the resident at 2015 East Cool Spring Ave has lived there for over 16 years. They have been late on their refuse bill. Looking back previous, it looks like we had a significant amount of penalties that may not have been correct. After doing the math, and talking to the resident, we kind of met in a happy spot to kind of figure out why these adjustments were even made. Long story short, it looks like liens were put on the house, 5 of them. And in each lien, they added the second lien, third lien, fourth lien. So if the first lien was for, let's just say 300, and the second lien was for 200, they were saying it was for 500. So it was like doubling their liens. So I was trying to advocate for her to try to get her payment down to paying $50 each lien fee, which would be 6 liens total of $300, plus the $237.60, so that's late fees for 16 payments, which would be $3,801.60. So I'm asking for you guys to do an adjustment request of $4,101.60 that she would come in and pay.
So the total amount would be $4,000.
$101.60, which will not lose, the town would not lose any money.
And she's willing to come in and pay that amount.
What was the first number that you said? That was third.
So there's $50 times 6 liens. There's a total of 6 liens on the home. So that would be $300 to get the liens released. Then $237.60 times 16 late fees would be $3,801.60 for a total of $4,101.60 that she could come in and pay next month.
And she's willing to do the whole thing at once.
Yep.
I don't have a problem with
I
that.
don't have a problem with it.
I'll make the motion to accept the $4,101 or $4,101.60.
I second it.
Discussion.
I was just going to ask, any further discussion?
So would this be just, how do I say this, typical if, say, upping on Jenny, had the same problem? Or is each person I handle different, how would you?
I think this
No.
would have to be a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, and this honestly, if you ask my honest opinion, I can't see that far back without digging through files and files of what happened, but for what I have in front of me, it looks like these charges were not correct.
Okay.
So I have corrected it to my ability so the town doesn't lose any money. She's still paying every single late fee for every year. She's paying for all of her liens put on and taken off, so that when you get to a certain point, you just can't catch up.
So, I guess my question is why did it get to this point?
So I don't want to tell her personal business, but her husband this is the last thing tied to him.
Okay, alright,
And,
okay.
okay,
That's fine. Okay.
so I don't know her personally, but, talking with her, I think that we should work through it and.
How many years has this been going on?
16.
Okay.
That's when they had got the house. She was told her husband was making payments, he was not. And
So I
she cannot
okay.
get him off of this house until all these liens are gone. So this is why we've come up with this, get it paid for, get the liens
Well-
taken off so her husband can be taken.
And I understand where you're coming from. Yeah, we don't want to do something for
Right.
somebody else and not do
And
it
not do
for,
it for
right,
everybody.
right. yeah.
But this, I think, is a
But I think
A
this is
mistake.
an error in
the system
in the way
from,
that the system was,
Yeah.
or how it was calculated. I think that that's a fair
Agreed.
adjustment.
And for
which I
16
have a
years.
file you can look at, but it's just,
Hmm.
yeah.
Understand.
So this is 16 years worth of fees
And late
And-
fees.
and the actual bill plus all of the,
All the
lien
liens.
releases.
Okay. Okay, so we've got a motion and a second.
Thank
Any other discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. That's great. Okay, any public comments this evening? None? Any clerk's comments this evening?
Just, thank you for everything.
Okay. Any council comments this evening?
I have one if no one else does.
Please do.
So if I have one, you don't have one?
Well, no. No, I just told you that. All right.
Please do.
So, a couple weeks ago, I came into the town hall and Crystal had a couple residents here. They were complaining about a house on Avondale and a house on Meadowlark. And, I just wanted to relay that, the house on Meadowlark, it basically is just a civil disagreement. She's gonna have to go to court, or she's gonna have to, the fence behind her is falling into her yard. She has the option of pushing it back, or, it's not illegal. But she doesn't like the sight of it. So, there's not much we can do. We don't have a fence ordinance other than,
Something we can do anything with.
yeah. It's built within standards. But the house on Avondale, the police already took the 2 abandoned cars away. The house is abandoned. It's been abandoned for 6 years.
Once the cars are back.
One car,
back.
one's car's back.
Yeah.
However, Steve said it's current on the plates, and they're keeping an eye on it. If the tires go flat, they can tow it away again.
Good.
The back, Steve Thomas went over there, and the roof is collapsing in the back of the house.
There are raccoons living in it.
There's raccoons living in it.
And we did call the health department as
Yeah.
well on it.
That's what I told the residents, that if they want a quick reaction to this, they should. And I said, get out there and video the raccoons going in where the roof is collapsing in the house. I mean, and from the front, it just looks like an old house.
Right.
And he maintains a front yard, but the back is just the pits. It's just bad.
You're saying it's abandoned?
Yeah, there's no electricity.
Well, the health department's not gonna do anything about it.
Well, we were concerned about the animals living in there and the children on the other side.
But the health department isn't, you guys have to make a decision on
send
Abandoned
them letters,
buildings.
whether you're gonna, demolish the place, find them, I mean, that's really,
Right, if there's no power.
Abandoned, he's just not living there. We know who the owner is, where he lives, we've been in contact with him. He just doesn't have the money right now to fix it up. He has a full-time job at a local manufacturing company.
I can't speak to that. I mean, the health department isn't gonna do anything other than say you
Right.
can't live there, he's not anyway, right?
Right.
You're gonna put it back on you, you have your unsafe building laws, you have those things that, those are your choices, very similar to what you had started on Harding before.
And so what are their options? I mean,
Who's that?
the people living next to it, that the raccoons come over
Could
and
be
eat.
considered a nuisance.
Well,
Yeah.
Sure, I mean, they can do something civilly, but, the town has to decide what to do, if anything, under the ordinances. You can't advise them what they're going to do civilly.
No, I understand that. I know I wouldn't wanna live next to it.
Right.
I wouldn't wanna have a nice house and live next to where the house is collapsing and raccoons are going in there and then they're coming and eating my
Do
garden.
that, then it gets back to the circular thing that you guys go through. You have a limited budget, you have to make a decision on whether you wanna find them, and you can start that, and it's a continuing, those fines continue until something is done. You can give them the go through the protocol for unsafe building law, and eventually, try to get the thing demolished, but the issue for you is you have to front those costs and then put a
Right.
lien on the property, and everything costs in terms of,
And
When you
do
get a
have money for that
contractor.
this year?
Right.
Yeah.
so, something, you have to make a decision on what you want to do to enforce the ordinances. It sounds like, at minimum, probably start to cite them after giving them some notice that they have some time frame to put it in a state that's acceptable and seal it up for sure.
Has our building inspector been out there?
Said-
He's aware of it. I don't
Said,
think
I thought he said Steve walked out there and looked at the back of the house, saw the raccoons going in and out.
we put the two in touch. I've not
Yeah.
heard
Okay.
back from either.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't remember if we've been out there personally or not.
I'll send you, it's pretty confusing, something for a future date, but Marshall and I have talked about before, and Steve Thomas, because you do have a building code that was updated in 2019, but when you link to the website and pull up the town code, it's not
It's
part
not
of that.
there.
You can only find it at the state level where it had to be filed, so I'll send that to you
Okay,
as a reference to see
Okay.
the things that are options for the town.
okay. Yeah, I mean, they've been complaining about it for several years, but it never got to the council's attention. It never,
Someone has to come in and actually talk to us at a meeting.
yes, at the meeting, but they
Right.
came to the town hall, but it never went any further.
Yeah, they-
Anywhere from
Got it.
It never went any further than that.
Got it.
In there, And I understand about the not being able to afford it, but after 6 years, I mean, there comes a point when,
No, excuses, that's just.
oh, no, I know, I agree with that,
Well,
but,
even if you cite them, let's say you don't go through the whole protocol that you want to demolish the place.
Mhm.
You can certainly make a demand of them, you can cite them, you can go to small claims court which, again, we're getting into the realm of cost. It's much cheaper, a quicker result, but you can try to get an injunction so that the court orders, and then they can be in contempt of court if they don't do those. It puts the person in a rock and a hard place, as Marshall said, clearly he's in a financial bind too, but someone has to get, right?
right,
It affects property values, it affects, safety, and that is your charge to
I
address
think it's more
those.
the safety of the property owners nearby.
Yes.
yeah.
Well, yeah.
All right, that's all I have.
So I think reviewing the ordinance is where we need to start at and
Yes.
then go from there.
Yep.
So, any other council comments? Other than reminding everyone that trick or treat is scheduled for 5 to 7 p.m. on the Thursday, the 31st.
I want to say someone posted it was from 4 to 6.
I've got from 5 to 7.
Right.
Now, 5 to 7.
So
Yeah.
that's what I've got
Yes.
down.
Yes.
So 5 to 7 p.m. somewhere in Michigan City,
Yes.
that we're all at the same time.
Yep.
Other than that, We have our November meeting scheduled for, as usual, the third Tuesday in November at 7 p.m., which, for those who are counting the days, is November 19th at 7 p.m. No one else has any other comments from the council?
I move to adjourn.
Thank you. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
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 We'll see you in November. Thank you.